Hello, hi, good morning, everybody. I am Ashish. I'm the founder and CEO of MASH Impact. And today we are marking the National Startup Day. It's a day to celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship and the spirit which truly uh, brings innovation, creativity, collaboration, and multiple ways of bringing new ideas, which truly is creating an impact. Um, Today's panel discussion is in partnership with MeraBizNet and Dailyhunt, where we are bringing few extraordinary leaders who are really championing entrepreneurship, supporting startups, and are helping India become the startup nation of the world. So I won't spend a lot of time and quickly introduce my panelist. Our first panelist is Pritha Dutt, who is the founder of MeraBizNet. Namaste, Pritha ji, and welcome to the panel discussion.
Namaste ji. Thank you.
Next, we have Sneha Banerjee, who leads partnerships and content for Dailyhunt. Hi, Sneha. Good morning. Namaste. How are you?
Good morning,
Sneha, you're
Ashish. Good
yes.
morning,
We can.
Ashish.
We have Nitisha, who's a young budding entrepreneur and has been working very closely with Empower Foundation and its programs. And he's joining us, especially today, has taken time out from her busy academic schedule. So thank you, Nitisha, and namaste
Thank
and
you so
welcome.
much, sir. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir.
No.
And we also will have Mitali, who's facing some technical difficulty, but she will be joining. And she's the founder of Nikori Associate and also consults with World Bank and has done extensive work with women entrepreneurs and on gender issues. So she will also be joining soon. So I'll quickly get started. And my first question to our panelists today, since we are marking the National Startup Day and it's also the year when India is the president for G20, so I would like to hear your quick thoughts in terms of how do you feel today, and a little bit tell us about your work with entrepreneurs, with women entrepreneurs, as a way of just getting the conversation started. So Prita, I'll start first with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, firstly, and Ashish, since you said a National Startup Day, it's a wonderful, I think, way to acknowledge the spirit of entrepreneurship. When you have something which says, okay, this is National Startup Day. I don't know, and you would know better how many countries around the world do such a kind of thing. But this is like acknowledging and making sure कि इसका जो focus for startups by marking a day. Of course, there is a lot of other work that happens behind it. Our own work, Ashish, and my own personal work for the last 14 years has been with, work with youth and within that, women particularly. I got like the organization part of the inclusive network business, which is part of UNDP called BCTA, जहाँ पे gender and SDG 5 is a focus. So both foundation पे and my new venture that I have started, MeraBizNet, how can women particularly set up their business? So पिछले काम in the last 12, 13 years has been firstly finding out kind of skill and getting them jobs and employment. And then we felt, look, there is a bigger opportunity because jobs come here and women face a lot of issues in terms of migrating out and picking up jobs, etc. There is a hunger. A lot more women want to start up business. And what can we do to support, particularly from the lower and the middle class? So अभी ये जो venture शुरू किया है, Ashish, is like culmination of all of that, and to see how can we use technology and provide access to women to help them start a business. हमें मालूम है कि issues क्या आती हैं particularly. I mean, men के लिए भी है, but women it is a little kind of more. और हमें मालूम है कि if and particularly on a startup day like this, if we can use this to encourage and inspire more and more women, we know that we are going to add trillions to the bottom line in terms of the opportunity, both in terms of the GDP as well as other things that it does to women's empowerment. So ये थोड़ा सा about the kind of work and the meaning of National Startup Day. I'm very proud to be here.
Thank you, Pritha, and again, congratulations for all the amazing work. And we'll definitely look forward to this whole next 40-45 minutes of discussion to understand more what you're doing. But today, to our audience, there are women entrepreneurs, there are people who support women entrepreneurship. So how can we encourage and inspire many more such women entrepreneurs to come forward, right? I'll come to Nitisha first, and since she's one of the young women aspiring entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, तो उनसे सुनते हैं थोड़ा सा आज के टॉपिक पे नेशनल स्टार्टअप डे है. तो नितिशा, आपको कैसा लगता है, एंड हाउ डू यू फील यू नो टू बी एज अबाउट ऑन बीइंग एंटरप्रेन्योर?
सर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, जैसे आज नेशनल यूथ डे है, तो मैं आप सबके साथ फर्स्ट टाइम ज्वाइन हुई हूँ, तो थोड़ी सी हेजिटेट भी हूँ, और मतलब थोड़ी सी मिस्टेक भी हो सकती है बोलने में, तो उसके लिए सॉरी ऑलरेडी.
नहीं नहीं,
बट
बेझिझक
आप
बोलिए, जो
जेन्युइन
आपके
है.
मन में आता है, जो आपके मन में
मतलब
आता है बोलिए, या फील फ्री, कॉन्फिडेंट.
ओके सर, आई विल ट्राई. सर सबसे पहले तो अच्छा कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप होता है जब खुद को मतलब किसी मुकाम पे हम मतलब लेके पहुंच पाते हैं. जैसे वुमेन हैं, हर जगह पीछे ही पीछे रहते हैं. हमारा भारत है, पुरुष प्रधान देश है, तो उसी को सबसे आगे रख के हर चीज को नापा तोला जाता है, हमें सबसे पीछे रखा जाता है. तो वो हमारे ओन हैंड में होना चाहिए कि हम कहाँ स्टैंड कर सकते हैं. हम किसी और को वो चीज नहीं दे सकते कि हमें कहाँ स्टैंड होना है. तो अभी तो मतलब मैं बहुत बेस से स्टार्ट हुई हूँ अपने बिजनेस के लिए, तो किसी का सपोर्ट नहीं, विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट अपने और मतलब जितना भी खुद से स्कूल में पढ़ा के जितनी अर्निंग खुद से की, उसी से अपने ही मनी से सब कुछ स्टार्टअप किया. तो बहुत अच्छा फील होता है मुझे अब कि जितने आसपास के लोग हैं और जितने भी मतलब मेरे कलीग्स हैं, सब मतलब अप्रिशिएट भी करते हैं. और मतलब बहुत अच्छा फील होता है मुझे अब कि मतलब मैं कुछ कर पा रही हूँ लाइफ में, एक लड़की होकर के और इतनी कम उम्र में. तो अच्छा लगता है, और आप सब लोगों से आज ज्वाइन हुई हूँ, तो काफी सारी चीजें सुनने को मिलेंगी, समझने को मिलेंगी. तो इतना ही.
Thank you, Nitisha, and it's great to see young women like you who are driven and passionate for contributing and taking a plunge towards entrepreneurship. So great to have you. I'll now come to Sneha, and Sneha, thanks again for joining, and we've done so much work with you and Daily Hunt to take this message to so many women. So, want to hear your thoughts on National Startup Day, and also as an organization, there is so much that Daily Hunt is supporting around women issues, around entrepreneurship. So, tell us a little bit more about your work, your journey, and how do you feel about marking this National Startup Day and our message to our women entrepreneurs and many other, of course, startups out there.
थैंक यू आशीष और नितिशा. आपकी स्टोरी सुन के हमें प्रोत्साहन मिलता है कि हम कुछ करें. My journey with startups began in 2017 when I started covering them as a journalist. तब बहुत ही ज़्यादा मेल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ज़्यादा थे फीमेल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स से. लेकिन अगर आज उसके बाद मैंने एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम किया जहाँ पे स्टार्टअप न्यूज़ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को फंडिंग मिलती थी, इंडिपेंडेंट एंड पब्लिक स्पिरिटेड मीडिया फाउंडेशन. तो हमेशा स्टार्टअप्स के साथ काम करती आई हूँ किसी विद इन डिफरेंट कैपेसिटीज. बट ओवर द इयर्स एक चीज बहुत प्रोमिनेंट रही है, वो है कि जो नंबर ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स उभर के आ रहे हैं वो ज्यादा हो गए हैं. There is no benchmark कि the startup entrepreneurs should be from say a category A college or B college. ग्राउंड लेवल से बहुत entrepreneurs आ रहे हैं, बहुत प्रोत्साहन मिल रहा है उनको सरकार की तरफ से. उनको अपने organizations like Empower Foundation and other organizations are supporting younger entrepreneurs to take that plunge, to take that risk and start something of their own. And Daily Hunt, as I said, is a app for Bharat. So when young entrepreneurs, young women read stories about inspiration and entrepreneurship on an app like Dailyhunt, it only inspires them to do better. So that's pretty much how I look at it from what I have experienced so far.
Thank you, Sneha, and I'll come with the first question to you. I know the work you do with Daily Hunt, and of course with so many other communities. So, how do you see that the landscape, especially women-led startups, women-led entrepreneurship? I know we see big, great stories like Fagni Nair of Nykaa, right? But then there are so many grassroots stories of women who are also doing very, very interesting, innovative work, right? So, want to understand from you over the years, how do you see this trend shifting and going forward? What can we do more as a society, as different stakeholders? Some of us are working on the side of media to spread awareness, some of us are working in the policy side, some of us are working on investor side, right? So I'm kind of mixing couple of things, but I want to understand what's been your observation and what can we do more to get more and more women to be entrepreneurs.
Right. Ashish, what I've noticed is that, as I said earlier, there were startups that came from a certain league of colleges, certain, stature of the society. But over the years, the word startup has become so, it's become familiar with every part of the ecosystem that we live in. And women, men across the board are interested in starting businesses of their own. What I really feel is a challenge, and we are multiple organizations are doing different things, is to help entrepreneurs build skills that are missing. Probably some of them know the financial aspect but don't understand the legalities of starting a startup. किन किन लोगों को अपना जो व्यापार है वो अच्छे से पता है, लेकिन शायद मार्केटिंग स्किल्स उतनी अच्छी नहीं है, क्योंकि उन्होंने किसी आईआईटी या आईआईएम से पढ़ाई नहीं की है, या किसी ए लीग बी लीग कॉलेज से पढ़ाई नहीं की है. तो देयर आर इंस्टीट्यूशंस दैट आर helping these kind of entrepreneurs to build skills across the board so that they can supplement their startup sufficiently, and they don't feel underconfident in any aspect. I recently did a workshop for Eunice Social Fund where there were startups from different parts of the country, and there was someone who was making organic food, but he was completely underconfident when it came to social media. कुछ भी डालने से डर लगता है, पता नहीं क्या क्या मैसेज चला जाए. So I think individuals like all of us, I mean, I know MASH does a lot of work in this ecosystem. If we all can come together and supplement skills that are missing, across the board, and which will help an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, to come out and be confident about what they're doing, that is something that will really help. And as I said, today we are in a much better position, but we still have a lot of work to do. Preetha ma'am and others will be able to throw light on it better.
Sure. Thanks, Neha. I think you've put some very interesting light on a couple of lot of important things that have happened, but also the gaps that we still have to fill. I'd like to also welcome Mitali, who's the founder of Nicore Associates and is a dear friend, and also been extensively working on gender issues, has published a lot of research papers, and is also working a lot on the gender lens investing. So it'll be great to hear her thoughts on National Startup Day. So I welcome you, Mitali, for this panel discussion. And just a quick word before you joined, we were asking all the panelists how you feeling. Like, it's a National Startup Day, and we are talking about women entrepreneurship. So any quick opening thoughts?
Thanks, Ashish, and I'm so sorry to be late. I think this is my being late is how I'm feeling on National Startup Day. When you are an entrepreneur, your client comes before everything else. So I think this should be the theme of National Startup Day. That how am I surviving with my different clients today? And are they wishing me or are they just asking for their work? So I think that's how I'm feeling today. With
Yeah,
my clients.
you should start your calls with your calls. Hey, you didn't wish me. It's a National Startup Day.
Exactly. काम तो दे दिया, but where are the wishes?
Great. Okay, great. So Mitali will come. I think the question that we are going around with on the panel right now is, how far we have come and how far do we have to go, what role each of these actors play. And since all of us are working in different spaces, Nitisha is a young aspiring entrepreneur, Sneha works on the media aspect, Pritha herself being an entrepreneur and also supporting building an ecosystem for women-led entrepreneurship, and you being on the policy side, research side. So I think it's a very interesting panel. And also I know, Mitali, you're working a lot with investors also to promote genderless investing. So there's a lot we'll take back from today's conversation, and but sadly we don't have a lot of time. So I'll quickly go to Pritha now and hear her thoughts. Pritha, how far we have come, and for us to where are we going? What different gaps do you see that we all need to work towards? Pritha, you're on mute. Can't
Yeah,
hear you.
okay,
Sorry.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I said, Mitali, welcome. आपके पास data ज़्यादा है, so I'm not going to be, flooding you with data, but मालूम है कि, only 20% of women own businesses, small businesses in the country. However, अगर देखा जाए तो this trend is increasing. There is a kind of a drive and an aspiration for more women-led businesses to come to India. So that is, startup in India. And I see that the kind of the whole message that women themselves are taking, वो भी change हो रहा है. I mean, 3 साल पहले भी the woman was okay to play second fiddle in the business. तो ठीक है, मैं business कर रही हूँ, लेकिन मेरे को खुद का भी हम अपना खुद का ही प्रोग्राम जब करते थे, तो उनको बोला कि आप बिजनेस वुमन है. मैं बिजनेस वुमन? मैं तो जी अपना पार्लर चलाती हूँ, या स्टिचिंग, या मैं अपना फ्लावर शॉप है, या मैं फूड प्रोसेसिंग करती हूँ. वो मैं I do that, and I'm talking of the lower middle class. I see even there is an acknowledgement that they are now kind of wanting to be on the same footing. वो जानते हैं, they are kind of clear about their aspiration, etc. So that is one qualitative change जो मेरे को दिख रहा है कि बहुत सारी महिलाएं, and I'm talking of women because my focus is really women, कि वो आगे बढ़ना चाह रही हैं. And number two is, apart from what Sneha said about the fact that they need the skills, I see one big role that women particularly need is mentoring and guidance. Or हमें, and especially in the foundation and the program we run, and नितिशा खुद भी उस program की एक beneficiary है. जिस तरह से you need, both in terms of helping you cope up with pressures, the kind of pressures Mitali said, because women play multiple kind of roles, and they shouldn't feel guilty कि मैं अपना business में time दे रही हूँ. Oh my God, I'm supposed to do some other things. How do I handle that? At the same time, how do I help you move out from traditional thinking that businesses women can run? So we have enough examples. नितिशा खुद एक business run कर रही हैं, कोशिश जो कर रही हैं, शुरू किया है library. Completely kind of a different. We have examples of women जो beauty parlors say now wanting to open spas. We have businesses from Hapur who are kind of into wedding gowns, and this is like not, I'm saying, mainstream Hapur. So there is like both qualitative as well as we know the opportunity that women-run businesses can provide to the entire growth. And there are more women seeking help. Problem and the issue is, how do we get them together? So that's what in MeraBizNet we are doing, providing both a web portal and an app to get more women to continue seeking the access. Mera program might be only for a certain level, so that they don't feel shy, and to create a community, particularly for the lower middle class, to come and kind of seek help. तो मेरे को लगता है कि that, and you said, both gender lens investing as and policy, that there has to be all of them coming together. We can change the kind of face. और next year से एक women startup day अलग होना चाहिए. Startup day for women, that should be a separate feature. So that's what I'd like to say, Ashish.
Thanks, Pritha. I think very interestingly, you've talked about various aspects, right? Like from how small cities, there are such great startups that are coming out, but whether they are getting mainstream exposure or not, right? And while there is, I think, genuine effort that I see by a lot of different, stakeholders at the corporate level, at the government level, but there's a lot needs to be done more, right? So I'll come to Mitali and hear her thoughts, Mitali, on today's topic, and then we'll come to Nitisha. Yeah, Mitali.
Thanks, Ashish, and Sneha and Prita ma'am and Nitisha. Very nice to meet all of you and to have this conversation. So, Prita ma'am, taking off from pretty much a lot of the points that you made, I think the biggest problem that we are facing as a community in the startup space, and I'm now putting myself in that space also because the work that we are doing, it's 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 pretty much the same, like it is about creating business, it is about creating value for our clients. The first problem we are facing is working capital and payments, right? Now, this is a universal problem. Ashish will also face this problem. I will also face this problem. And both of us are, entrepreneurs, same age, pretty much, we are doing this similar work in the policy space. But at the same time, tomorrow, I can guarantee that if I walk into a bank and if Ashish walks into a bank, the reception that we get, even with me and Ashish, I'm saying that, we are very privileged, highly educated in Delhi at the center of all of the policy world. Despite that, I am more likely to encounter a bank official who holds an unconscious bias against women founders, right? So the first challenge around access to finance is the account unconscious bias within the banking sector, and the second, of course, is that a woman is again less likely to have, the proper documentation, ownership of assets, revenue streams, etc., etc. So that creates, a challenge for working capital. The second challenge when it comes to, startups is around your clients and their unconscious bias. So your first challenge, of course, is working capital. How do you get the sufficient, investor money? But I'm not even talking about VCs. I'm just talking about standard banking. VCs is a separate ball game, so I'll come to that. Second is with your client side. Now, on the client side, when you are a woman startup founder, it's very clear that you have to work double or triply as hard. And at every step of the way, the client is expecting you to prove that you belong. And that's something which is not the case with male startup founders. It's just every day that, that one feels that. Because the minute you walk into a room, especially if you walk into a room with, say, a partner, I have also worked with partners who are male startup founders, and I join them, and I am the expert. They have just brought the client, I am the expert. All the questions will still be directed towards them. So, the clients themselves feel that, oh, yeah, a woman is there. Of course, she must be good at her job. Now, at least we've come to that in a city like Delhi or Mumbai. But that person is in charge. That person is making the decisions. So to dispel these notions, you spend a lot of time doing that and a lot of effort doing that. And you constantly have to prove yourself. You can't let go even for a minute. And God forbid if you are unwell on one day. If you are unwell on one day, the first thought will be, okay, she must be on her period. She is unwell. She can't work. 5 दिन तो निकाल ही दो. इसको, should we give her the contract or not? So these kind of questions, again, they will never say it to you because, again, in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, you've had that sensitization, so they will not say it to you, but they are thinking it. Now, when we extend this discussion to a tier 2 context or a tier 3 context, I was in IIT Kanpur just last weekend. I was invited by the students for an expert lecture. Now, IITs are some of the places where you see the maximum number of startups emerging, especially those which are run by youth, especially those which are founded by the students. There were 15 women in the audience out of 250 men. Even now, even now. And and when we asked, I asked this question openly to the students that would you like to have a startup or would you like to, get a job? All the women said job. And the boys were like, no, 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 we have our own robotics idea, we have our own AI idea, we have our own ML idea, something on blockchain somebody is working, and somebody is designing like a prototype of a drone. But the girls are the ones getting employed. And at the end of the day, this creates an inequality in a capitalist society. Because I'm just relating it to some economics principles as well. Capitalism thrives on the ingenuity of the capitalist, right? Which in our case is the startup founder. So therefore, capitalism always rewards the person who takes the risk and starts the business. So in a capitalist setup, if there is a gender bias, then definitely it is going to be the person who is not able to become a capitalist who is going to lose out. And that in our case is the women. So at the end of the day, when we are talking about National Startup Day, like Pritha ma'am said, have a Women's National Startup Day, absolutely. But at the same time, encourage women that it's not just job. You can have your own company. You should be given support at every step, but you also have to sensitize the clients, because just talking to women is not enough. You have to talk to the men, you have to talk to the clients, and you have to talk to the bankers, you have to talk to the funders. Only when you create that sensitization that look, a woman can have a successful startup, it's not something that's out of this world. And when we stop putting these brackets around it, right, that a woman led startup, why? It's a startup, it's led by an entrepreneur, she happens to be a woman. So I think that more and more the mainstreaming is important.
If I can just add to what Mitali said, right?
Beautiful. I think. Sorry,
Sorry.
Sneha, are you saying something?
If you can just add something to what Mitali said, I think it's also the conditioning that we've always been told that, acha, now women are working, so that's good enough.
Yeah.
So there's always a restriction that you can't dream big enough, you can't have bigger dreams. I think that as a family, as a society needs to change. I mean, I know these are very aspirational things, but it comes from one home, at a time, that women should be told that you can dream bigger than this. Okay, you've got a job today. In our generation, we didn't get a job. You're able to work today. But yes, go beyond this, start something of your own, or take a plunge, take a job outside India or something like that. So the aspirational barometer really needs to increase for women, and it comes from social conditioning. Yeah, great points, Mitali.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Neha. I think, Mitali, you raised some very interesting points, talking about the gender biases that exist, from access to finance to also, like what Sneha says, it's a big level shift that we need to see at a conditioning level, right? So we'll come back to that in terms of, like, I think first half of the discussion that we spent in terms of identifying problems, but then also what all of us can do. Like, I think Mitali also talked about, it's sensitizing men, it's sensitizing people at workspaces, on the other side of when you're working with clients and so on and so forth, right? But how do we see that shift, a delta shift, happening faster, right? So I'll come to Nitisha, because given she's a young person on the panel today and she's also aspiring entrepreneur. So नितिशा, आप बताइए किस तरह के challenges आपको लगता है आप face करती हैं, या आप जैसे काफ़ी सारे और यंग गर्ल्स भी फेस करती हैं, तो थोड़े से इन challenges को आप identify कीजिए एंड खुद आप कैसे उनको overcome कर रही हैं.
सर अगर बिजनेस पर्पस से बताऊं, अपने बिजनेस पर्पस से जो मतलब प्रथम मैम ने अभी डिस्कस किया था कि लाइब्रेरी, स्टडी लाइब्रेरी का बिजनेस है, तो अगर उस पर्पस से बताऊं तो सबसे पहले जो जितने स्टूडेंट्स कह लीजिए या कस्टमर्स कह लीजिए मेरे लिए, उनको उनकी नीड्स कैसे कंप्लीट करनी है, सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज मेरे लिए ये होता है, क्योंकि हर किसी की नीड्स कंप्लीट नहीं हो सकती, मैं फुलफिल मतलब नहीं कर पाऊंगी. अगर समर है तो उनको एसी चाहिए, वो अवेलेबल है. उनको चिल्ड वाटर चाहिए, वो अवेलेबल है. बट अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर एक एक स्टूडेंट आकर के बोले कि उसको पर्टिकुलर अपने लिए चाहिए सेपरेटली, बट आई कांट अफोर्ड. वो इसलिए क्योंकि स्ट्रेंथ 115 तक रही है समर में, जो स्टडी लाइब्रेरी है, और इस टाइम विंटर में जितनी रहती है वो सिर्फ 30 to 35। तो पूरा मैनेजमेंट करना फाइनेंशियली किस तरीके से रखना है वो सब अपने हाथ में होता है, और वो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज होता है कि समर में आपके पास स्ट्रेंथ अच्छी खासी है, बट जो लैंडलॉर्ड है, क्योंकि जो मतलब जिस लैंड पे वर्क है, पूरा बिजनेस है, वो ओन नहीं है, वो मतलब कि रेंट पे है। तो लैंडलॉर्ड को फर्क नहीं पड़ता उस चीज से कि आपके यहाँ पर बिजनेस ग्रो कर रहा है या डाउन में जा रहा है। उनको सिर्फ उस बात से मतलब है कि वो कितना अर्न कर रहे हैं, वो उतना ही लेंगे जितना उनका फर्स्ट टाइम डिसाइड हो चुका है। तो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज उस वक्त ये होता है कि जब विंटर में स्टूडेंट्स कम हो जाते हैं तो कैसे मैनेज करना होता है फाइनेंशियली। और कोशिश यही रहती है कि जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स आ रहे हैं उनको उनके हिसाब से सारी फैसिलिटीज मैं दे पाऊँ, और मतलब अपनी तरफ से कोई कमी ना रहे। बाकी साथ में भाई है, भाई छोटा है, तो उसका खुद का रेस्टोरेंट का बिजनेस स्टार्टअप करा दिया है मेरी ओन लाइब्रेरी से। मतलब जो बेस रहा है रेस्टोरेंट का, वो बेस रहा है लाइब्रेरी, स्टडी लाइब्रेरी। जब मैंने स्टार्टअप किया तो उसे भी स्टार्टअप करवा दिया। तो आज की डेट ये है कि विंटर इस टाइम चल रहा है, तो मैं बिल्कुल डाउन में हूँ और भाई बिल्कुल हाई टॉप पे है। तो उसको अच्छा लगता है कि मेरी वजह से मैं उसके लिए इतनी सपोर्टिव रही हूँ। हालांकि घर में, फैमिली में सब अब तो सपोर्ट में है, पहले बिल्कुल नहीं थे। जब स्टार्टअप किया था तो सबका यही था कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब लो और क्या करोगे, दूसरे घर जाना है, मैरिज हो जाएगी, सब कुछ कैसे मतलब मैनेज करोगे, कैसे हैंडल करोगे। तो ये सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज यही रहा था कि जब स्टार्टअप किया था तो कोई सपोर्ट में नहीं था, हर सब अगेंस्ट में खड़े हुए थे कि गर्ल हो, कैसे मैनेज करोगी, बाहर के बहुत काम होते हैं, नहीं कर पाओगी। पर 6 क्लास से मेरा मतलब जो मेरी जितनी भी स्टडी हुई है 6 to 12 मेरी जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय से हुई है, JNV, जो अपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक अकेला होता है, अब हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में होता है, तो मेरा वहीं से हुआ है सब। तो पहले से ही इतना कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप कराया मुझे, उस प्लेटफॉर्म से इतना कुछ सीखने को मिला था बचपन से ही कि मतलब वो स्पिरिट आज भी है कि मैं जितने अपने साथ के कलीग्स हैं सबको यही बोलती हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब जब लगेगी लग जाएगी, अपना ओन कुछ स्टार्टअप करो। भाई ने बिल्कुल मना कर दिया था कि नहीं कर पाऊंगा मैं रेस्टोरेंट स्टार्ट, बट मेरे सपोर्ट से आज वो टॉप पे है। मुझे बहुत अच्छा फील होता है कि मुरादाबाद में उसका रेस्टोरेंट अच्छा चल रहा है।
ऑसम, ऑसम नितिशा, बहुत बढ़िया।
Beautiful,
थैंक यू
Nitisha.
मैम।
I'm very proud to hear your story, that how you're supporting your brother in his entrepreneur journey. It's, I think, commendable inspiration for many entrepreneurs, and for men as well, for to hear a story like that. Since my clock says that we don't have a lot of time, another 10 minutes. I think I would like to spend more time in terms of, since each one of you brings a lot of, like I said, experience within your own sectors. So like to focus more on each one of you, the kind of work that you're doing, because I would like this discussion to be not just another discussion, but also in a way where people who are listening, A, definitely get inspired, B, also can contribute towards the work that is being done, right? So Prita, I'll start with you. I know MeraBizNet is a upcoming and emerging platform as a community for a one-stop for women entrepreneurs to connect with like-minded, colleagues, founders, mentors, get access to resources. So tell us a little bit about that, and what is that something that you are looking forward while to support the women entrepreneurs, so people who are listening to you can then learn more about MeraBizNet, can directly go and connect with you. Then I'll of course come to all the other panelists, hear from Sneha in terms of how people can leverage media platforms like Dailyhunt, Josh, and many more in reaching out to more people with their small medium enterprises, and so on and so forth. And Mitali, of course, if you can throw some light on gender lens investing, tell us a little bit about, to our audience, about how does this work, and if they need to, while there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are listening today, so how can they access more resources through gender lens investing, right? And Nitisha, of course, as young entrepreneurs, what is your message to many many more young entrepreneurs? तो टाइम थोड़ा कम है, इसलिए मैंने पहले ही बता दिया कि 1-2 मिनट लेके लेट्स, because we may not have time to come back. So let's go to each of the panelists, and also if you can close today your point with one message to our audience, like one key takeaway message that you would like to share for our audience as well. So Prita, I'll start first with you.
Okay, thank you. So मैं 3 चीजें बताऊंगी, and in each of the 3 I'm hoping that there is a call for action. पहली बात तो है, जैसे नितिशा ने बताया, women need the support of not just family, they need their colleagues, and they need other what shall I say, like-minded people to come and support. तो बहुत जरूरी है कि to form a community of women entrepreneurs, जहाँ पे ऐसी कहानियां शेयर करी जा सकती हैं एक दूसरे को, they can inspire each other and learn from each other. So at MeraBizNet, we have a Facebook community that allows all of this to happen. So my endeavor is जितनी ज्यादा से ज्यादा महिलाएं इस पे ज्वाइन करें, जहाँ पे नितिशा जैसे बहुत सारी और ऐसी स्टोरीज, देयर ओन जर्नी शेयर कर सके. उसके साथ साथ व्हाट आई हैव डन एंड बेस्ड ऑन द लर्निंग्स दैट वन हैज हैड, एक पूरा वेब पोर्टल which will also launch an app shortly called MeraBizNet, जहाँ पे ये जो सारी challenges हैं that entrepreneurs, especially women face, उसका कोई solution है, कोई ऐसा tool है that can support. तो जैसे the portal provides mentoring, provides access to funds and financing, at least information about कि कहाँ से मिल सकता है ये पूंजी, like Nitisha is talking about, and Mitali said that's absolutely right. Where do you get it from? And of course, then there is an issue about how do I train you to and give you the confidence and the skill set to at least address those issues. Absolutely right. Women neither have collateral and neither do they have an open welcoming door jahan bhi wo jaye. So the portal provides access to finance, it provides mentoring support, it provides access to tools in terms of skill set, which Sneha has talked about. Business plan कैसे बनाते हैं, बात कैसे करते हैं, GST क्या होता है, ideation क्या है, marketing क्या है, as well as there are fortunately a lot of partners who are working in this space, who provide, let's say, working capital to women, who are providing marketing tools, who might be providing billing solutions. तो उनको इकट्ठा एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे, ये शुरुआत है, and I'm hoping that more and more women join MeraBizNet. तो एक तो community है, एक MeraBizNet है, और तीसरा है कि नितिशा जैसे लोग, how do I partner with institutions, चाहे वो academic institutions हैं, चाहे वो पॉलिसी मेकिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस है, ताकि ये बात को ये और जबरदस्त सिस्टम्स एंड प्रोसेसेस बन सके. और ये सिर्फ डज नॉट लिमिट इटसेल्फ टू पैनल डिस्कशन और एक नितिशा, ये बहुत सारी ऐसी कहानियां हैं जो उभर के आनी चाहिए. वी कैन काइंड ऑफ मेक अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस. तो मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Prita. So I think inspiration, we need many many more role models. I think that kind of inspires and helps. Then you need community of like-minded people, and then the kind of resources to really nurture, right? So really looking forward to this platform, Prita, and as we of course go along, we'll talk more about it. I'll come to Sneha now, and Sneha, tell us what are your closing thoughts, and in terms of how does going forward the work that you're doing, and of course many more women entrepreneurs who are looking forward to get their stories out there, so yeah.
Firstly, I think just me, Prita ma'am spoke about inspiration. I think media, not just the niche media like Your Story or She the People who are doing commendable work, but mainstream media also need to come out and cover stories of women entrepreneurship, and not just the Falguni Nayars of the world, but also just entrepreneurs that are doing substantial amount of work across the country. And I think a platform like Dailyhunt and Josh will only help take these stories to the masses, to each and every pin code in the country. And platforms like Dailyhunt and Josh should be cheerleaders and messengers for women who probably are even hesitant to come on the internet today because of the kind of issues of obscenity and ambiguity around it. But s- platforms like us should create that safe space for women to discuss, to get inspired, and to strive to do better in whatever they're doing. So I think that's my 2 cents on this.
Very nicely. And I think with media, social media, I think it's also getting very democratized, right? Like there's so many grassroots community channels that have come also up,
Absolutely.
right? So I think using tools like these, like Daily Hunt, Josh, to get your stories out, I think there is also now potential that you don't have to depend on mainstream media only,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Your
because
story
we
can
have
go
the
viral.
reach. Absolutely, we have the reach. So it's no longer the big boy, the big brands that we are dependent. These stories are dependent on. They can come on Daily Hunt and spread the word. So that's how
And
we play an important role here.
so many of them are becoming creators also. That's also a new form of entrepreneurship that we are seeing, a micro individual led entrepreneurship, where I think that some really amazing things people are doing through storytelling. So thanks, Neha, and definitely more power to such platforms and more independent media channels. Okay, so Nitisha, I'll come to you first and then we'll close the discussion with Mitali. So Nitisha, आपका क्या message है for many more young women like you who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs?
सब मेरा यही मैसेज रहेगा कि अगर सपोर्ट नहीं भी है तो खुद से खुद की लड़ाई लड़नी है हमें, किसी के भरोसे रहना नहीं है। अगर किसी के भरोसे रहे तो शायद कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे लाइफ में। और कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप करना है तो जैसी मोटिवेशनल वीडियोस हैं वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर हो। और जैसे आप सब मुझसे बड़े हैं तो आपके जितने भी एक्सपीरियंस हैं वो हमें सुनने को मिले किसी भी तरीके से, चाहे ऑनलाइन यूट्यूब पे मिले, चाहे मतलब किसी भी सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म पे मिले, बस हमें वो सारी चीज़ें सुनने को मिले। उन सब से ही इतना कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डअप कर लेना है कि हमें अपनी लड़ाई खुद ही लड़नी है, किसी के भरोसे नहीं टिकना।
Beautiful. Thanks, Nitisha, and it gives a lot of confidence to, I'm sure, a lot of our listeners. मुझे खुद आपसे काफी प्रेरणा और इंस्पिरेशन मिल रही है. Thank you, and Mitali, over to you.
Thank you so much. I completely agree, Nitisha. हम सबको आपसे बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिल रही है बिकॉज आप जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ऑपरेट कर रही हैं, मतलब यूपी में मैंने भी 3 साल काम करा है अब, तो अब हमें पता है कि कितना कितना मुश्किल होता है अपनी फैमिली के अगेंस्ट जाना। सबसे सबसे एक्चुअली बाहर के लोगों से हम डील कर सकते हैं, घर में जो चिक 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 चलती रहती है ना, उससे डील करना सबसे ज्यादा टफ होता है। तो आप कर रहे हो और आपको ये हम सब अश्योर कर रहे हैं कि आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हो। कोई भी अगर आपको कभी भी आगे चल के भी बोले तो यू आर डूइंग अमेजिंग।
थैंक यू
सो
सो मच मैम।
so that's the first. I think Ashish, just coming to gender lens investing, right? Just to sort of conclude the thought that we began with is that working capital is a challenge, right? And that women are having this. So, in order to bridge that gap, a lot of funders, investors, even VCs, especially those which are led by women, have now come up with this thought of having a framework around gender lens investing because it's now been recognized that the investment in women enterprises has to be intentional rather than only through a business case. So, like, we've been discussing that we want to mainstream it. We want to make sure that the main pool of funds, at least some of it goes to women. This doesn't mean creating a separate fund for women, but to say that we are going to, ensure that through our big fund of say 100 million or 200 million or 300 million, we are going to make sure that 30-40% is genuinely directed towards women entrepreneurs. And if we're not able to do that naturally, without making any efforts, it actually goes with this intentional framework. And that's where the gender lens investment strategy comes in to ensure that if you don't tick those boxes, your investment overall is not getting approved. And if you do take those boxes, at least some portion is going towards women entrepreneurs. The other aspect of gender lens investing I just want to talk about is that it isn't just women entrepreneurs. It's also entrepreneurs who innovate for women. There are a lot of men who are doing amazing work to create products that are tailored for women. Even the example of our famous pad man was actually an example of a man innovating for a woman. So in gender lens investing, this is explicitly recognized, and even men who are innovating for women are considered to be part of this framework. So just to conclude, we are seeing very, very interesting innovations on the gender lens investing side, which will create more and more funding for startups led by women and for startups that are serving women consumers. This is a high growth space, and this is a space where a lot of funding is coming in. But having said that, the other aspects of mentoring women entrepreneurs, taking them along, creating spaces where they can network, all the soft interventions that Prita ma'am talked about are an essential accompaniment to this gender lens investing framework.
Great. I think, Mitali, that's it's a very positive note to close today's discussion, that there is good work, there is a lot of good, great investment that is being out there. But what we need is more empowering spaces like what Pritha talked about, MeraBizNet is building. We need more stories to be told, like Sneha talked about. We have to be our own inspiration first. We have to push ourselves before we expect anybody else to come, like Nitisha talked about. And it's very, very, I think, encouraging to see that there is a genuine push, intent, and efforts taken towards promoting more and more women entrepreneurship, right? So I think with that, I'll of course like to thank each one of you to take out time, and wishing all of you and all our audience a very, very happy National Startup Day. I think we need more and more discussions like these, more partnerships to be built, and many, many more occasions, not just one day to celebrate. I think every day is a celebration for the entrepreneurial spirit, and especially women-led entrepreneurship. But yes, there's a lot of work to do as well. So yes, thank you again for joining us for this discussion.
Ashish,
And
may I add, and we need
yes, Prita.
organization like MASH to
Sure.
be to get it all together, because that's important. You understand all of
Absolutely.
it. बहुत ज़रूरी है आप जैसे
Absolutely.
लोग, and MASH particularly. Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Ashish.
Prita. And definitely looking forward to keep doing more and more of this work and keep pushing this agenda forward. Thanks a lot. And we'll speak to you all again
Thank
very
you.
soon. Bye bye.
Bye.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.